Well, hello and welcome. Just wanted to make a quick video to show you how I do magnets. I feel that magnets are one of the most functional, best type of presents you could give somebody, because not only can you use them to hold up different things or use as decoration, but they're also, you could personalize them with photos or sayings or anything like that to customize to whoever you want to give them to. So this is a nice quick video on how I do personally my magnets. And if you can learn from this, that's a good thing. If you want to share this video, that's also good. I'm planning on doing several videos like this to highlight items that I sell in my shop. So without further ado, let's go ahead. And this is probably one of the most easiest projects that you can do. It only takes a few items that you actually need. And I will include links in the video of what I use to do these magnets. So let's have at it. You're gonna need a sheet of printed paper. And see, these are 1.5 inch square, or circles rather. These are 1.5 inch circles. I found a template online, and I can include that also in the video, where it was a blank template, and I used Photoshop elements to place my sayings in here. The circle circumference is 1.5 inches. Then I got a 1.5 inch cutout tool. I believe I bought this from Hobby Lobby, or it could have been probably Michael's, but you could get them from Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Amazon. And this circle here, it helps you cut out so it could be exactly like the circle, and you'll see that in a few seconds. Magnetic buttons. And of course, these 1.5 inch round capuchons. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but round glass domes. And I also include a link where I buy these from. And my go-to glue is E6000. I always use E6000 for a project like this because of the way it dries, and it's quick drying and it dries hard, so that way you'll be able to cut the glue around the edge of the circle, which you'll see when we get to that step. So right now, I'm gonna take my sheet of print out, and I take it and I make sure that the circle is around my guide, and I cut out my circle. See? And what I like to do is I start the glue in the center and work a little around the sides. That way when I push the glass dome on top, it'll squeeze out the sides. But I make sure I have a firm seal to make sure that stays on. So, let me put my glasses on. Okay. So I'll squeeze it like a nice considerate amount, because you want to make sure that you have full coverage on the magnet. So if you can see that, let me see if I... Now, I don't pretend to be perfect doing this. I don't. Because actually, if you notice, I didn't do this focus on the good yet, because apparently I touched it and it forced the ink off. So I'm gonna have to cut out a clean one of that one magnet, focus on the good. That goes into what I said, that you have to make sure that you don't actually touch the surface of it. So see, there's another one. And again, it's okay if you mess up, like when you cut it out and you still see some black around there from your guide. If you choose to use the black guide, you don't have to. But I use a guide. But in the end, I'll cut that black part off so you won't ever see it. So this is trash right here, so I'm gonna put this to the side. And I take my glass dome and I set it in the middle. And to make sure you don't touch any other sides, because you're gonna push it directly on top, firmly. So here's another one. I'm just dropping it on there and I'm pushing it down. Make sure there's no bubbles. Make sure it's centered on there. And where I have some of this black showing, I'm gonna push it off of there just a tad, so that way when I start the final cut, I know what I'm cutting. These will sit for, I'd say, approximately an hour, maybe 2. I would just go and do something else basically. And you know they're ready, they're gonna start lifting up. So I would come back and check them to make sure that they're still centered, because you know, this silicone mat, and excuse the way it looks, but I've used it for everything. So, but this silicone mat tends to lift up sometimes when the glue starts to dry. So I would come and check them. I might lift them. If I see that happening, I'll re-record what I do to change that. But 9 times out of 10, you don't need to mess with them until it's time to start cutting them. So I would just go ahead and leave them for a couple hours and check them. And then you flip them over and we put the magnet on the back using the A6000. But I'll come back and show you when that's that time. I said in the previous section that you should let it sit out 2 hours and then you'd be ready to cut it. Well, I want to put a disclaimer on that. I recommend that you let them sit out 24 hours or actually overnight. But after 2 hours, you can actually lift them off the silicone, flip them over, then use your E6000 and put on your magnet bags. So in 2 hours, they won't be completely finished because you need them to be able to cure enough. Whereas here, they've sat out overnight and they're really strong where I can cut off this glue right here. But I'm not gonna do it now because I still need to flip all these over and place the magnets on the back. So again, after 2 hours, you can flip them off the silicone mat and place your backs on the magnets. But then after you do that, let them alone and let them sit overnight, and then it would have already been ready to be cut, and that's your final step. But right now, I'm just gonna flip these over off the mat and place the black magnet on the back and then leave them alone. Now, the black magnet on the back curing doesn't take that long. That's another maybe say 2 hours just to make sure it's strong, and then we can cut it. So now that I didn't do that last night and I let them sit out overnight, the fronts are ready, but the backs aren't because there's no magnets. And as you see from the last section, I ended up doing a couple more magnets besides the positive affirmation ones we were working on. I added some sunflowers. So you can see that there's different possibilities to things you make. These are my teal glass glitter magnets, very beautiful magnets that I'm actually selling in my shop. So I wanted to make some and fulfill an order while I was doing this video. So we're gonna see the finished product by the next time I come back. But right now I'm just pulling the magnets up, and you see it has this outside covering where the glue had dried, but the consistency of it is very strong. So when we cut it, it's not going to separate from the paper from the glass dome. So I'm just going to put a little dab of glue on the back. See how it just easily lift off the silicone mat? Little dab of glue on each one. It doesn't take that much. And then I'm gonna firmly press, well, I have a stack right here, but I'm gonna firmly press the magnet back on the back of each magnet. Okay, now it's time to put the finishing touches. The magnets have sat out overnight. We've added the back of the magnets with the drop of glue, the E6000 glue. And this bond is strong, so now all we have to do is get our pair of scissors and cut around the edge to cut this extra glue off. Just carefully cut. The glue was pretty strong now because it sat out, so it should not separate. If it did, that means it wasn't sitting long enough, but overnight is way more than enough time to get that bond strong, so it just should be an easy cut. I'm just going around the edge just to get it nice and clean. And there you have it. See? Nice perfect circle using our cutter tool. You have the back of the magnets on. Nice and clean. So I'll finish up the rest of these and then I'll show a final picture of what all of them ended up looking like after we were done. And here is the finished product. As you can see, all of our magnets are now cut out. And they have the backing on the back. This is the example of the teal colored magnets that I made with the glitter cardstock paper. I didn't use a template for these because I can just actually cut the circles out directly from the paper, so still using that circle cutter. And lastly, here's an example of the sunflower magnets I did. Again, we have the backings on the back. Cute magnets, good for parties, for gifts, to go in gift baskets, or practical use to stick to something magnetic. Magnets are the perfect gift, and thank you for watching. If you want to see anything else, let me know in the comments, or if you have any questions about making these magnets, let me know.